here we are. This is an Ibanez headstock tier list. And of course, we're not going to be covering absolutely every single one of the Ibanez headstocks, but we're going to be covering a pretty good portion of them, vintage and new. A lot of them were made actually decades ago and are still used today. But yes, let's begin. So of course, I think we have to start with, if I can find it, and guess what? Oh, there it is. Yes. All right. Absolute classic, absolute staple of Ibanez for many, many decades. This headstock has been used on countless models, including PGMs, gems. I'll even count the AZs because it's obviously, well, the AZ one's obviously straight headstocks, and RG headstocks are angled, but they're pretty much almost identical. So I'm going to count this as a AZ headstock as well. But here we have the classic Ibanez Roadstar. That's not Roadstar, sorry, RG. Yeah, that's an S. That is, I love this headstock. I think a lot of people do. Apart from, well, people who think they're too pointy. Yeah, this one is super simple, yet it looks incredibly stylish on all different various price points of Ibanez models as well, like Geos all the way up to prestigious J Customs and custom shops. So yeah. And then let's move on to sort of the same thing but slight variation, and that is the reverse headstock. So, okay, a reverse headstock I do really like. I love a reverse headstock, mainly because, well, lots of PGM models have reverse headstocks. I don't own a guitar yet with a reverse headstock, but I would quite happily own one. But I'm going to say, even though I love it, I can't put it, I prefer the traditional, normal RG headstock. So, although I love a reverse headstock, it's going to have to be in A tier. It can't be the same, because I do prefer the normal one a little bit more than the reverse headstock. Okay, let's do my second ultimate headstock. That is the that's a Roadcore. Alright, we'll do a Roadcore headstock. I thought it was going to be Roadster. This is a good point, because the Roadcore headstock is very heavily inspired by the Roadstar headstock. And well, you'll hear my opinion on the Roadstar headstock shortly, but this one is pretty darn good. I do like it. We don't see it as much, well, we don't see it at all these days. We don't make Roadcores anymore, as far as I know. Haven't done for quite a few years, but yeah, this is going to be, you know what? I like it. I'm going to put it in A tier. I'm going to put it as B or A. So the reason why I'm putting that one in A is because of this headstock. Yeah, this is an Ibanez Roadstar headstock. Now, the funny thing with Roadstar headstocks is they vary in size and slight changes in shape sometimes, because they're also used on Blazers and used on the Studio Blazer, but most notably on the Roadstar. And this is a thinner one. You do get like bigger ones, slightly almost 70s Fender sort of size Roadstar headstocks. This one for me is S tier. Absolutely love this headstock, and I can't believe there are people who actually want to vomit when they see it. But you know what? We all have to have a different opinion. I'm quite happy to like this unusual headstock. Yeah, this one, every time I see one, I just absolutely, I almost drool. I get pretty excited when I see this headstock. It's, yeah, just love it, love its curviness, love it's simple, but my god, it's so stylish. I really like it, Okay, moving on to one that is pretty, what's the word? For me, it's a love-hate relationship. Now, this headstock, I'm going to call it an Artcore headstock, even though it was used way before the Artcore. This actual picture that I've chosen is from a musician, an MC model. This headstock's been used on countless models over the years. It first appeared, I believe, at least like mid mid to late 70s. And we still use it today. Today we use it on the Artcores. Now, I used to dislike them. When I first saw them, I was kind of like, oh, that's a bit, yeah. But to be honest, it's actually kind of grown on me over the years. And I think the main reason I love it so much, like it more than I did back then, is because of how many models it actually is used on, and I love all of the models. So this one, you'll see it, like I said, on the musician series, the studio series, the concert series, the performer series, the Artcore. I'm definitely missing a few. It's used on acoustics, you name it. This headstock's pretty much been used on most guitars, other than obviously Super Strats. So for me, I'm going to put it in B tier. If I did it a few years ago, it probably would have been C or D, but like I said, it's grown on me. Definitely it's gone up, so it's going to be a B. Why, you ask? Well, I don't know. It's just something about having like a larger top. I don't know. I think it also depends on the guitar's body shape as well, because I think it really suits Artcores, semi-hollow guitars. This really suits because, well, semi-hollow guitar has a bigger body, and a bigger body with a bigger headstock, I think that suits it pretty well. So that's probably I think it's very dependent on the guitar body shape. Now with the performer, they have, like, I think people nickname it the bunny ears inlay on the headstock, which you see on the performer series. That is super. I've got one guitar with that on, and yeah, if it has the bunny ears inlay, I actually would put it up into A tier. But overall B. Anyway, enough of that one. Let's move on to another. Which one shall we choose next? Let's choose this one, the Talman headstock. Again, I don't own a guitar with one of these on, but there is a guitar that I love that this is featured on, and that's the PGM 900. PGM 900 is basically a Talman, but a Paul Gilbert signature model version. But I'm very torn whether or not to put this in B or C. I do like it. It's not. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to put it in B. I'm going to put it in B tier. I think it's one of those that have grown on me as well. Not so much. Decisions. I think for now we're going to have it in B tier. Alright, let's move on to this headstock. The Iceman or the Fireman headstock. This is off a FRM 100, I believe. Because it's got no binding around the headstock, so that's definitely 100. This one. Okay, another thing about this is it kind of falls into the same problem as the Artcore headstock because it's enormous. Absolutely enormous, this headstock is. But on a Fireman and Iceman, it works well because, again, the body shape is pretty big, so it kind of balances itself out. And the cool thing is that the truss rod cover, you can't really see it on this photo, but the truss rod cover is the same shape as the headstock, so it kind of matches, which is nice. It's a nice little detail. The spacing of the tuners is pretty dramatic, like that's pretty big spacing, but it kind of works. I do like it. Do I like it as much as those two in the A? No. I'm going to put this in B. I think that's a solid B. I love the Fireman guitars. Absolutely love the Fireman guitars. But the headstock, definitely, I think B. I think B is fair. Alright, let's move on to a bass for a moment. This is an Ibanez Eagle bass. Now, this came about, I think, the mid-70s. And they did reissue it in the 2000s, I believe. Now, this looks, I love the way this looks. Absolutely stunning headstock, really kind of quirky. However, it will have to drop down a tier because it had a design flaw. This little bit here, very often you'll see it broken off, and we'll come to another headstock that had the same sort of problem. So I would put that in A, but because of a design flaw, I mean, if I ever had one, I probably wouldn't break it off because I'm pretty careful with guitars. Very rarely, and touch wood I don't, but very rarely put dings in them. But trying to find one in fully mint condition that hasn't had a hasn't had the piece glued back on. It's pretty hard, I think. I'm going to put it in B. There's a lot of B. We'll try and find another headstock that may fall into the lower. Actually, it's pretty unusual to get one that I really, really despise, so pretty lucky there. Alright, let's move on to that other headstock I was on about, which is this one. The Ibanez Custom Agent headstock. Really unusual. It's technically a mandolin headstock, and it had the same problem as the Eagle bass, that a part of it would break off. This little tail here, this little curl, whatever you want to call it, very, very often broken off. And same sort of thing applies, because I'd highly doubt that I'd ever break it off if I had one, but finding one that hasn't been broken already is hard. I'm going to put this in C tier. I love that it's really unusual. I would normally put it in B, but it'll have to drop one just because of that slight design flaw. And let me know if you think I'm being too harsh with that. Like I've already mentioned the reasons why, but yeah, let me know. Okay, let's go with something a bit more traditional. Let's go for the Ibanez Artist headstock. They still use this, especially on higher end, like prestige art stars, and they use it on the John Scofield models. This one I absolutely love. It's also used on double cutaway artists as well. I have 2 guitars in this headstock, and not that anyone really cares, but I think it's a really, really classy headstock. It's not going to go in C. I'm going to put it in A. I absolutely love it, and especially I can't remember the model name, but there is a Les Paul that they made that has this headstock, which is unusual for Ibanez, and I believe the body had inlays. Absolutely gorgeous inlays. That one's an A. Really, really love that one. Actually, you know what? No, I think I've been harsh putting it in A. I'm going to put it in S. Absolutely love that headstock. Especially, the cool thing about it is a lot of them have the fancy inlay. I'll show you. Like, almost reminds me of like deer antlers. It's not, but that's kind of the first thing I think when I see it. Really, really kind of fancy. Now, I'm going to say this very, very loosely. Lower end artist models that they made, they're not really lower end, but the reason why you say the lower end, because they didn't have fancy inlays, and they didn't have fancy headstock inlays. Very, very basic, just be completely black. Usually would have a basic truss rod cover as well. Even on those models, it still looks exceptionally classy. And I think if it can look good in the simplest form, it must be good. Same thing how the RG headstock works. It can look really, really simple, but look absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, that's S tier. I was harsh putting it in A. Alright, let's move on to another one. We're getting towards the end now. Alright, here's an unusual one. The Ibanez Ghost Rider headstock. Now, I've got a Ghost Rider, luckily, and the cool thing about it, it's kind of a hybrid. It reminds me of a hybrid between an Iceman headstock and an RG headstock. But it's really, really small. It's an exceptionally small headstock. It's the smallest headstock I've ever seen, to be honest, other than maybe like the PV Wolfgang and maybe some Music Man ones. And I love that it's got that what we associate now with acoustic Ibanez logo. Yeah, I love that it's got that, and it's a cool headstock. I'm going to put this in. I would normally put it in B. However, because it is small and quite unusual, I'm going to put it in. Do I put it in C? Or do I put it in B? You know what? No, I'm going to put it in B. Because I like that it's kind of a hybrid between an Iceman and an RG. I don't think they were thinking that at the time, but that's what the first thing is when I see that. Alright, let's move on to this headstock. It's not a great picture, I'm sorry about that, but like an artist headstock but on steroids. So the top part is bigger. Now, you'd see this on a lot of the mid-70s Ibanez. There was an artist that had this. I can't remember the model number. I had one, but didn't have a headstock that big. It had a more traditional one. But you can get that same model with this headstock in the earlier versions. Now, there's also, Paul Gilbert has a full hollow body with this headstock. And I think on that model, it looks better than it does on the normal double cutaway one. And again, I think because that hollow body has a bigger body and a bigger headstock, and I think it works really, really well. So it can't be A. I'm going to put it in C. I do quite like it. I like that it's unusual. I think it's all dependent on which model it's on. Alright, let's move back to a bass. Here is a Roadstar bass headstock. This one's quite unusual. This is sort of a hybrid again between like the Artcore one mixed with, I don't know, kind of Talman and Roadstar. That's probably completely wrong, but you have to admit it's unique in its own way. The only bass I have is a Roadstar bass, and it has this headstock. It's black, but this one's a natural one. I think it looks really, really nice and natural. So I'm going to put this in C. I don't absolutely love it, don't absolutely hate it. I don't hate it at all, really, but yeah, I think it's worthy of a C. See, we haven't even put anything in D, E, or F. I don't think we will. So let's see what we've got left. Alright, we're down to the last one. We're down to now. Alright, I made a mistake here, so let's see if I can fix this. Here we go, let me crop it. For a bit of a laugh, I think I'm going to have to put in the quote lawsuit headstock, basically the open book headstock that they copied of Gibson. Now, some people would put this quite low because of the headstock breaks you'd get. But because it's an Ibanez one, it's kind of cool. I think it's hilarious that they copied it, and people get really angry when they name it wrong, saying that it's lawsuit or saying that it's not. I don't care at all. I just say it's an open book headstock, a Gibson copy one. I think this is going to be, it's between C and D. I would normally put it in D probably. You know what? No, I wouldn't put it in D. I put it right. In terms of looks, I think it's a C or a B. It is a classy looking headstock. I find it hilarious that they copied it, so that adds a bonus point. I'm going to put it in C, just because of that. It wins a point for humour, in my eyes. Alright, I've cropped that really badly, but you get the idea. Alright, let's get the other one. This is the post-lawsuit headstock. Again, misname it, if you don't identify it correctly. But this is a headstock you would see on late 76, 77, possibly 78, I can't quite remember, but I definitely know late 76 and 77. They had this headstock. It's cool. I don't have a headstock like this, I don't think. I'm going to put this in D. It's not my most favourite one, to be honest. It wouldn't put me off buying the guitar in the first place, but it's definitely not my most favourite headstock. It kind of is a hybrid between... I keep saying this is probably so wrong, but a hybrid between a Gibson headstock and the Artcore headstock. Let's do a summary. So, RG, Roadstar, Artist, S tier, godlike headstocks that I absolutely love. I get quite tingly when I think about them. The A tier, love them. Not quite as much, only by a smidgen. The reversed RG headstock and the Roadcore. B tier, ones that some of them have grown on me over the years, and one of them has a bit of a design flaw, and one of them's just really small. C tier, ones that, like, Custom Agent has a design flaw, and one of them's dependent on the body shape. Yeah, kind of that. And D, which is my not so favoured, but yeah, none of them are awful, in my eyes. I mean, again, we can all have an opinion on this. That's the whole beauty of this. People will put all of these headstocks in different orders, and we can all have a laugh. We can all make fun of each other for doing it, but it's just an opinion. I hope you enjoyed this video anyway, just a bit of fun. Thank you for KDH for the inspiration for this video. I thought it's cool to do a headstock tier list. Let's do it specific to this channel, put a bit of a spin, and just do Ibanez headstocks. So thank you very much for joining, and have a good time playing guitar in a bit.